I've cut all the side pieces. Now I'm going to join them with pocket hole screws, because we all love pocket hole screws. It's important to remember when you're setting up your pocket hole jig to set it up for the thickness of wood that you're actually drilling into. For example, the frame pieces are made of 2x4s, which are, well, I've planed them down to actually 1.5 inches thick, but my side pieces are actually 1 inch thick. So, but because it's on kind of an angle like this, I wanted to make sure, so I'm using 1-inch screws, and I set my pocket hole jig up for 3/4 inch. So, and it's working out. I already did this one, so I'm going to do this one. Just going to glue it and screw it. Now I'm at the point where I can cut my drawers, because I know that the openings for the on the top there are all 6.5 inches. They're all parallel. So I've got all my pieces. It's exactly according to plan on my SketchUp drawing. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all my drawer pieces and batch all 6 drawers out at once. So here we go. Cut all the drawer pieces to length. I'm going to glue them up a little bit later today. But this morning I'm going to glue, I've got my base, 2 base pieces cut. I'm going to glue them together and edge glue them. And I've also got 4 pieces of plywood cut for the top base, if you will. It's going to be the piece between the pedestal and the actual game table. I've actually got 4 pieces cut because I want to make this 1.5 inch plywood so it'll be super strong. And later on I'll cut both of them into a hexagon according to the pattern once we get the pedestal pieces cut. Okay. Here we go. This is about setting your dado blade height to exactly what you need. No matter what measurement you use this method and it works every single time. First of all, you've got your combination square and you set it to the height that you need. In this case it's 1/4 inch. Okay, and you'll notice how the combination square has a leveling bubble on it, which is pretty cool. Right? So what you do, you got your height set. Go ahead and put the corner lightly, because you don't want to scratch your table. Not that you could, but Just set your combination square on the table and the square part of it on the blade. And then you're going to lower your blade until you see the bubble pop in place. So you go slowly lower, slowly lower, slowly lower, slowly, boom. There it is. Lock your blade down, and that's the height that you need. I've got all my drawer pieces cut to size like I said before. Now I need to do some dados in them to get them ready for assembly. Right now I've got my sacrificial fence here ready to go. You saw how I set the blade height, so that's ready to go. And I'm going to cut all 6 back pieces. I'm going to cut a rabbet, actually, in 3 sides of all the back pieces. This side, the bottom, and then this side. Rock and roll. The bottom of all the sides. Now I've got, before I can assemble all the drawers, I've got to cut these tiny dados, these kind of angled dados, in these false front pieces. Okay, so and that's because the angles are, or the drawers are however long they are, and then they've got these angles, these angle pieces at the front there, and these pieces here are actually going to be hidden by the actual front parts of the drawer. So I've got to make these tiny little angled dados, and that's quite a challenge on a table saw, and really without doing hand chisel and all that, table saw is the only way, or the best way. So what I did is I made this jig, just consists of 4 of the cutoff blocks, the 30-degree cutoff from something that I was cutting earlier, I don't even remember. But just glued them together with regular CA glue. And then I figured out that the line here is the exact same thickness of the drawer side. So I've marked all the pieces with that particular line. Then I carried forward that line on this side of the piece here. Now I match up my jig, my very highly technical jig, with that corner and then the entire line here. And then all I have to do is put this edge up against the fence, which I have a sacrificial fence here because the dado blade is right up against the sacrificial fence. And then I double-sided tape to stick it down, and I know that it may not be, some of you may not think it's 100% safe, but it is very safe, and for me, and you shouldn't do anything that you don't feel comfortable with anyway. So if this makes you uncomfortable, then use a different method. But for now, I'm going to make the cut and show you the results. There you have it. Funky angled dado on the drawer piece. It's going to have the side, which is right here. The side will fit right into it. There you go. Pretty nifty if you can see it. There you go. Awesome. The next step in this tedious process here is to mark out these tiny little sections right here where these pieces meet the bottom pieces, which are these. Okay? So all you got to do is you want to make sure that use the board that you're going to use for the bottom. Mark your pencil line right there. Okay. Then I just freehanded it on this edge here from this slice right here all the way out to here. Make sure that's as parallel as you can get it. Then third step is use your combination square. Bam. Join up those two lines right there. All right. So that's the section. That's the section that you have to remove. I've got one in the vise here already. All I'm going to do is use my back saw to slice it down as straight as I possibly can, because I'm so awesome at the back saw. Down to the line there, and then use my chisel right there on the line, and just pop this little guy out. Bam. Go, clean it up a little bit. Sure. There we go. Fits. It's going to come right up to the front like that, pretty much. And then do the other 11 pieces. One final step before I can start assembly. I've got to mark out the bottoms here with this little shape that these two false front deals are going to make. Okay, I got my little notch cut out here. And on the other side, little notch cut out here. Got the dados like I cut before on both of them. Okay? So then I'm just going to set them in place where they're going to go. And now you got your false front. So that's what's going to kind of look like. Now I'm going to take my pencil and I'm just going to mark on the inside here where those are going to be lining up. Okay, bam. Got my pencil mark. Now I'll take this over to the bandsaw and cut it out. And I'm actually going to do that for each bottom, label them as I go, so that they stay together, because who knows, since this is all handwork, it may be off by a little bit here or there. So I'm going to mark them all, keep them all together, take the bottoms over to the bandsaw and cut out this shape here, and then finally I'll be able to assemble all these drawers. I lied. I'm going to sand everything before I assemble it. Much easier to do it this way. Got all the drawers assembled. I've got the pointed front there, and that's all worked out. So that's good. Just used brad nails and glue and a band clamp to clamp these ends here together. So those are all done. Now I've got the pedestal pieces here, cut to length. There's 4 regular size, and then there's going to be 2 doors that open on the pedestal as well. So because of that, I've got these 2 small pieces that are going to be hold the basic pedestal shape together, and then the doors will go on. So now I'm going to cut all the one bevel cut on each one of these pieces, including these small pieces, at 30 degrees. So I've got my bevel gauge set at the same, hasn't changed since the very beginning. Set up, and just make sure that angle is correct on the saw blade. And I'm just going to make 1 cut on each one of these. After that, I'll go back and I'll make the final cut on them to get them to their desired width. So first, here, I'm just going to cut off as little as possible at first, and then I'll go back and I'll cut them to 9 inches exactly. I'm not sure that some of these boards might be a little bit different, so I'm going to do them one at a time. Now I've got the pedestal cut, and the doors are right beside it there. Now I'm getting ready to cut all the cleats, and I waited on these because they may not be exactly perfect according to the plan. So, because no matter how good you are with a table saw, it's always going to be, well, most of the time going to be slight variations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a bevel on each one of these cleats first, and then I'll go and I'll mark where the other bevel has got to be with my pencil. Hopefully they'll all be roughly the same, and then I'll make those cuts, and those will be all the inside cleats that will attach this pedestal to the whole top of the table. I'm going to make the first cut. Now I've got all the bevel pieces cut and tested them so they fit nicely in the pedestal. All 6 all the way around. Now I took this shelf here. It's going to be the shelf. Awesome. And I placed it on top of the pedestal. Bam, like such. And I took my pencil and I traced the hexagon on the deal, on the shelf. Then I took the combination square and marked a 1/4 inch line all the way around the outside of the hexagon, because that's going to be the shelf, and there's going to be dados in each one of these pedestals that's going to hold the shelf. So that's why this has to be an inch or a 1/4 inch offset to the outside. So now I'm going to cut this shelf out, just the 2 sides first on the table saw, and then I'll cut the other 4 sides with the jigsaw.